coaches Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today. Former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
What happened here, I believe, is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a major business for the guys. They love it. They're good at it.
You know, I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I think when you talk about arrests being made by the FBI, I think the guys that are arrested are going to sit down and, be scared to death with what they're facing, and they're going to start to cooperate, and they're going to tell the FBI everything they know, and this thing is going to spread like wildfire, and you're going to find out that this is a lot bigger than it is right now. And
so things are heating up in the world of the NBA. The FBI did a major gambling crackdown, arresting NBA players and mafia members in a massive poker scandal. But here's the twist that no one saw coming. According to ex-mobsters, the real story runs much deeper than anyone is saying. Former crime bosses are claiming that players like Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, and Damon Jones are only a distraction. They aren't the masterminds, they're the scapegoats. In reality, they're saying the league's connection to organized crime has been quietly growing for years. Just what's going on between the NBA and the underworld? How deep do these connections actually go? Let's find out.
Gambling among athletes, it's an extension of their competitive spirit. They like to raise the stakes in a competition. This is who they are. This has been my experience with them.
I'm ashamed that those guys will put their families and their careers in jeopardy.
So a couple of days ago, the FBI concluded one of their biggest investigations into illegal sports betting and allegedly rigged mafia-linked poker games. And guess what? They arrested a total of 30 NBA players, along with some coaches and others. Miami Heat player Terry Rozier, Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, and assistant coach Damon Jones were all named in separate indictments.
The FBI director, Kash Patel, comes out and explains what's going on with the NBA. This is right after the NBA had a good opening day, and the timing of it is kind of interesting.
And yes, it's serious business. The players are accused of rigging games and faking injuries for poker.
Terry Rozier, right foot discomfort, doubtful to return.
Prosecutors say during this game in 2023, Rozier, then with the Hornets, tipped off bettors that he would fake an injury and exit the game. Bettors placed more than $200,000 on him to underperform in the game.
He informed his partners of the plan ahead of time so they could place bets on his underperformance in points, rebounds, and assists, all for tens of thousands of dollars in illegal gambling profits.
The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash.
And then there's Chauncey. He's being charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering.
To the Magic last night. That was in Orlando. Then meanwhile in Portland, we get to the Chauncey Billups portion of this whole part of the story, a separate investigation.
But the part that has everyone shocked, according to prosecutors, 4 of the 5 major crime families were part of the scheme as well.
5 of the famous mob families in New York were involved. I didn't think they ever worked on anything together, ever. Where am I wrong?
Well, they did work together. There was the Concrete Club. When they have mutual connections and they can bring it together, they work together.
But we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime families.
Together with them, Billups was participating in high-stakes poker games rigged by these crime families.
Everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam.
The games used modified shuffling machines to cheat players, defrauding victims of over $7 million.
The technology allegedly used in the scheme is like something out of Mission Impossible. The FBI says the suspects used special glasses and contact lenses that could read invisible markings on cards. Casino security expert Sal Piasante showed us some of the technology.
I can't tell you what that top card is, but if I pop in contact lenses, or if I'm wearing my poker glasses, when you look at that card through that filter, you'll see what that card is.
And Billups, he had been an active part of the operation since 2019. The FBI even managed to trace back some of the funds to him, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. According to the indictment, Billups wasn't just rigging games. He was also giving out insider information about players to help players place their bets.
Used special glasses and contact lenses that could read invisible markings on cards. Casino security expert Sal Piasante showed us some of the technology.
And if you think that's wild, well, Jones was playing the same game. According to the indictment, back when Jones was running with the Los Angeles Lakers during the 2022-23 season, he was dropping secret deets about the players so people could place wagers on the games. What's concerning is that court documents state that Jones had access to an unidentified prominent player whom he coached and played with. The indictment also talked about how, before a game on February 9, 2023, Jones sent a text message to one of his partners about a prominent player who was injured and would not be playing in that night's game. His advice? The co-conspirator should place a large bet on the Lakers' opponent before the injury was made public. The strangest part? That night, LeBron James did not step on the court for the Lakers, and they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks. Safe to say, LeBron was the one who was having his trade secrets revealed for a poker game. What's crazy is that Jones did this to multiple players multiple times, and here's where things get even wilder. According to some ex-mobsters, Rozier, Billups, and Jones are only scapegoats. In reality, the ties between the NBA and the illegal gambling community run way deeper than anyone can know. Michael Franzese, a former American mobster with strong ties to the Colombo crime family, is the one who pulled back the curtain on this crime syndicate in a recent interview, and he wasn't the only one. Sammy the Bull, a former American mobster who rose to the position of underboss in the Gambino crime family of New York City before becoming a government witness, had the same thing to say.
But gambling in that life is never going to go away. What happened here, I believe, is just the tip of the iceberg. It's a major business for the guys. They love it. They're good at it.
In fact, Michael believes that the reason the NBA and the crime syndicate get along so well together is because athletes are just wired that way. They love the thrill and the competition, and gambling gives them that adrenaline rush they crave when they're off the court.
And, unfortunately, professional and college athletes, they're always at risk because gambling among athletes, it's an extension of their competitive spirit. They like to raise the stakes in the competition. This is who they are. This has been my experience with them. And they're always going to gamble. They're always going to get themselves in trouble.
On top of that, the gambling obsession might have something to do with the fact that not every player in the industry has LeBron or Michael Jordan kind of money. Losing a match hurts the bank account, and gambling's the quickest way to cover up the damage. And that's exactly what these crime families are in the business of exploiting.
There are not all Michael Jordans that can afford any money that he loses. He'll never have a problem because he can cover any bet. But a lot of these guys get in trouble. They get involved with the wrong people, and before you know it, we have a whole deal like this.
Now, most people might assume that some of these prominent players and coaches were roped into the entire thing out of difficult circumstances. But Michael shut down that narrative.
Well, quite often, you don't have to convince these guys to do it. They're on the streets sometimes. They have relationships. They meet with somebody. It's like anything else. You get around them. They get to trust you a little bit. You talk about making some money. Who knows? If he's a real gambler, maybe they lost some money. They want to make it up. And, they came around us a lot because, hey, we can work with these guys. They're never going to tell on us. They're going to protect us. We can make some money with them. Why not?
Of course, the biggest question for some people is how these players and coaches deal with the guilt of betraying their own team. And here's what Michael had to say.
So if you have a player that, allegedly, let's say that team is favored to win by 10 or 12 points, and that player is either on the bench or out with an injury, and he doesn't contribute, and he tells his partner there, hey, bet the under because I'm not going to be there. Well, who's hurt in his mind? We're not losing. We're just not going to cover the spread. So we made a few bucks. We didn't really hurt the team. And that's how they think of it, and that's how we can convince them. Hey, look, we don't want you to lose. Just don't cover the spread. You'll make some money.
Meanwhile, Sammy thought that it was greed getting the best of them.
I see the coach made $100 million. What is he doing in the middle of this? How much greed? How much money do you want? And you put your whole career and everything on the line. That young kid who's saying that I'm faking injury and blow the game. I mean, they come out of a tough area, most of them, and they have a great career, future, and they throw it down the drain for greed.
Now here's where things take an even darker turn. It's not just ex-mobsters who are saying that the NBA and the mafia are in business together. Ex-NBA ref Tim Donaghy is on the same page as well. During a recent interview, he made it clear that the public shouldn't let the arrests of a few people distract them from the big picture.
I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I think when you talk about arrests being made by the FBI, I think the guys that are arrested are going to sit down and, be scared to death with what they're facing, and they're going to start to cooperate, and they're going to tell the FBI everything they know, and this thing is going to spread like wildfire, and you're going to find out that this is a lot bigger than it is right now.
And get this, according to Tim, the FBI actually wanted to make more arrests, but some very powerful people stopped them from doing it.
The FBI said that there was 6 or 7 other people that they wanted to indict, and this got shut down from the highest level.
And that's exactly why Tim thinks that if fans and the feds dig deeper, they can tie even bigger names to the case. As for why the NBA would get in bed with the mafia, well, Tim believes there's no deeper reason to it other than the fact that players were desperate for money and they were hanging out with the wrong crowd.
You know, it's just a situation where, you know, you're hanging out with the wrong people different times, and people are connected to the mob, and you get comfortable with somebody, you think they're your friend, and the next thing you know, they have something on you, or you're in an enormous amount of debt to them for some reason, and they have their claws into you, and they're going to put pressure on you to do things for them in regard to information, so that they can continue to make millions and millions of dollars. So
safe to say, at the end of the day, this whole mess feels way bigger than just a few players getting caught gambling. We've got multiple people saying the same thing. This goes deeper than anyone can imagine. It's almost like the NBA's been playing a dangerous game with the wrong crowd for years. The mob, the money, the fake injuries, all of it is wild. And if what these ex-mobsters are saying is true, then the players who got arrested are just the fall guys. The real power players are still hiding in plain sight. The only question is, will the feds eventually go after them, or will they let them walk free?